So before we progress with any more practices, I have to talk about emotion. And emotion is a really, really powerful part of being a human being. You know, we have evolved to feel. And emotions, which rise up out of sensations in the body, there's little closures of blood vessels and movements in the body that we translate as emotion, which the brain registers and communicates as emotion, and we learn how to express those as emotion. So first of all, emotional literacy is very important. And emotional literacy means that we can feel different emotions. We have a vocabulary of emotions that we understand. Now, the way often that men are encultured is to have one feeling, which is anger. Yeah, all the subtlety of sadness and its various spectrum of possibilities within that. Yeah, tiredness and sadness, or sadness at something happening or not happening, all the different qualities of emotional response that are available to us are often lost. So the capacity to be fully with emotions and meditative depth, mind mastery and meditative depth, takes us deep into really feeling, fully feeling. So we want this emotional literacy. We want the capacity to express emotions separate from our demands and needs, because part of evolved communication is to be able to communicate our emotional experience, but separate that from what our preferences, demands or needs are, so we don't blur them all together into this flurry of poor communication. Emotions are really important. Now, we go through a phase when we're from 2 to 4, where we are in what I call our emotional self. We're learning about who we are emotionally. We don't yet have the rational capacity to communicate those emotions because that kind of brain hasn't grown yet when we're 4. That doesn't grow till we're about 7. So in that early days of our emotional self, our whole world is emotion and sensation. The sensory motor body, sensation and emotion. And our response to everything is very emotional. And the parents who look after us, if they're not comfortable with their emotions, they teach us to dumb down and numb out our emotions. So they teach us emotional stupidity. Yeah? If we are blessed with emotionally intelligent parents, we will have learnt to self-soothe. We will have learnt to honour our feelings and not act them out. So acting out goes like this. Here we go. I feel angry. That's an expression. I'm expressing my emotion. Yeah. I would really like it in future if you could listen to everything I say before you interrupt me. That's expressing my preference and my need. So I've got the emotion I've expressed, my preference and my need. 2 different things. If I pick up a plate and go, you never listen to me, and throw it, yeah, that is acting out. The anger is coming out and leaking out and pouring at somebody else. Does that make sense? Little basic course in emotional intelligence here, I know. But it's relevant to our muscles and it's relevant to our breath. So that's why I'm doing it, right? Great. So this acting out of emotion in tantrums, yeah, or in sulking, withdrawal, so it's either outward going action, or it's withdrawal, pulling away, or it's cutting down and going indifferent. I don't care. Those 3 responses to our emotional reality and to the emotions that occur in the interpersonal space, because emotions are what connects us. We are mammals. We're pack animals, and we connect with each other through emotions. Emotions bond us. Emotions connect us. Emotions teach us how connected we are or how separate we are. When we learn to navigate these emotions as a child, we learn not to feel certain things. Oftentimes, young women, girls, are taught not to feel anger, because if you feel anger, you won't be loved. So you learn to take that anger and push it inside. How do you do that? Well, with the respiratory muscles. Take a difficult feeling. Imagine a difficult feeling right now. And notice what you do with it. You squeeze those respiratory muscles. It's on an in-breath. You're holding the breath and squeezing the diaphragm, squeezing the tongue muscles, maybe squeezing the pelvic floor, maybe doing something in your shoulders. But you're doing some individualized, unique pattern of emotional containment and then smiling because you want to be loved. What happens to that anger? Well, a lot of women internalize it in self-harm, whether that's eating disorders or self-abuse of some kind, because that's the outcome that is almost required in that relationship with that complex emotion. So it's not really fair, but that's what happens. Men are allowed to feel anger a lot of the time. It's their emotion, it's the male emotion. But they're not allowed to feel sadness or loss or grief. Not allowed to feel vulnerable. Stop crying and be a big boy. What kind of man are you? All those kind of comments come out, So boys learn that if they're going to be loved, they have to be loud and boisterous and angry and that kind of thing. They're not allowed to feel vulnerable and soft and quiet. So we entrain our genders with different kinds of feelings, and then those other feelings get left out, left behind, and get squashed into the body through, So here's a young boy who's feeling really hurt and wants to cry, but he can't cry. Try it yourself, try and cry and hold it. You have to do stuff with your breathing muscles to hold it in. And we get into patterns then of using breathing muscles in relationship to feelings. So with conscious breath work, we're going to begin to undo all that stuff. So you can't do breath holding the breath in the body for any extended period of time until you've learned how to liberate the diaphragm. This is a really, really important point to make, and it's a really important step in conscious breath work, is liberation of the diaphragm. And that comes through a practice called Uddiyana Bandha. Uddiyana means upward flying, by the way. And I'm going to teach it with the completion of that, which is called Mahabandha. I call that DCLA, Deep Central Line Awareness, because drawing us into the central line, which is also called Shushumna or Avaduti, which I'll cover later on in the course. But that deep central line awareness through Mahabandha, and that's what we're going to do now. I'm just going to change my seating position to get a little bit more comfortable, a little bit more, excuse me a second, so that I can do this practice in a good way. Again, remember you're going to have your seating base so that you can sit with your knees below your pelvis, that's all right? Now for this practice, we're going to be taking a deep breath in and a breath out. And at the end of that out breath, we've done this bit already, you're going to squeeze the front and the middle of the pelvic floor up and in, squeeze that into the spine. That's the beginning of this practice. And then release. The next bit of this is you're going to have to find the breathing muscles, the external intercostal muscles, and we've already felt those. You felt them by tuning into those 11 spaces on some of the fuller breaths we've been doing, yeah? So breathe into those ribs here. Put your hands on the sides, not on the front, but round the sides here. And breathe into those ribs. Now push the hands in against the ribs and push the ribs against the hands so you're resisting the breath. There it is. Pulse that breath next time. Now pulse the breath, push the breath out against the hands. Those are the muscles you're looking for. These ones here between the ribs. But you're looking for them without breathing in. Now the complexity comes because the only time you'll have used these muscles is when you breathe in. You don't know how to find them. Your brain doesn't know how to find them when you're holding the breath necessarily. Some people get it straight away, but it's very rare. So you're going to have to get inside your own brain, get your awareness traveling down through those nerves and switch those muscles on. So before you do this practice, it's really good to do this little practice, Yeah. of switching on the intercostal muscles. Now, where this is going, out breath. Pelvic floor in up, tummy in. Switch on these muscles. And that's the one place where the diaphragm is off, it's not switched on, and it's being stretched open, that any residual emotional debris or tension in the diaphragm can be released. So this is the practice for liberating your diaphragm. All right? Very important practice. Now, when you saw what I was doing with my fingers there, that should all feel soft and comfortable in there with the fingers massaging in there. If it feels tense and tight or painful, that's your tension. That's your stress-based tension or emotional debris sitting in the muscles which you want to massage and clear out. So a simple way of doing that first is lying on your back with your knees up, prop your knees against each other so that all the muscles are released. And then breathe out and get your fingers in there and start massaging in there and releasing those muscles out. Like I said, you can get in. I'll show you different ways of doing it. That's making little circles with the finger. This one's kind of hooking under the ribs and drawing the ribs open. And the third way is sliding along that, the origin of the diaphragm, where the diaphragm joins onto the ribs here. I want to do that nice and slow, really slow, so the muscles and the fascia can relax into that contact. But that's going to start the process of releasing that diaphragm, so you can get that emotional freedom. And we want the emotional freedom. Now, one of the things to understand is that, emotional debris happens. It happens from being a bipedal organism. We stand and face the world with our ventral surface facing the world. We go outwards like this. And this is the soft, vulnerable bit. Yeah, this is the soft, vulnerable bit. And we face the world with our soft, vulnerable bits. We've evolved to live in tribal packs of about 150 people. And we live in cities of, some of them up to 30 million people. Yeah? Most of those people we don't even know and never will know. So we just walk along the sidewalk and we're bumping into people, bypassing people, yeah? Some of those people trigger stuff in us because they remind us of somebody who frightened us a long time ago or whatever. So we've got that complexity of dynamic, of micro-muscle containment, of all those feelings subtly dancing on the inside. And having a practice where we can liberate all of that on a daily basis is absolutely crucial for well-being, yeah? For an emotionally intelligent person living in any kind of metropolis anywhere. So you need this practice. We all need this practice. That's the point about conscious breath work, is it is the practice of our time. It's the practice of our time to give us the capacity to live well together. We're liberating ourselves from those deep biological qualities of innate fear containment within the system, which have been added onto by our culture. Great. So that's third aspect of this practice. So we've got the pelvic floor in and up, tummy in. We're working on liberating that diaphragm. To draw the energy down, we want to lengthen through the back of the neck, get that lift up through the back of the neck, snaky neck, shake the jaw, release, length through, curl the chin down and towards the chest. So we've got that length, curl, and then suck the chin up a notch. So it's just a little notch up and in, which presses in on the carotid sinuses under the throat here. And that increases the pressure on the baroreceptors, which are the pressure receptors on the carotid sinuses, which then switches on the vagus nerve to calm the heart and the organs in the body. so we can switch down and calm down. It also acts as an energetic containment, a mudra, an energetic containment to draw energy into the center. So we've got the pelvic floor activity, which is sucking life energy up in towards the anti-gravity feeling of that, yeah, and then this feeling of drawing down and in. So we're containing in and relaxing into this Mahabandha, this deep central line awareness. So again, I'll talk you through that. So it's an in-breath, out breath, empty out. Hold the breath out of the body. Squeeze the pelvic floor in up. Tummy in towards the spine. Open those ribs. Lengthen the back of the neck. Chin down, curl in, suck up. And hold the breath out of the body for as long as you can comfortably hold it. Push it. You can push it a bit here. Explore where your edge is. Where does the edge go from good to bad here? Find it. But you've got to know some stuff about release first. This is how you release out of the practice. We don't want grubby breath holding. Grubby breath holding is where we're training the wrong part of the brain. Breath in is like that. That's giving dominance to the 350 million-year-old bit of the reptile brain. Yeah? We don't want that dominance. We want to breathe in from the left prefrontal cortex, the most recently evolved bit. So to do that, yeah, what we're going to do is breathe out, hold the bandha for as long as possible. Release first. Neck, head release, tummy release. Relax, smile. That's release, relax and smile. And then conscious inhale. Spread the nostrils wide. I haven't breathed yet. Spread the nostrils wide, yeah, and breathe in through the nose. Full inhale. Exhale, release, let go. Okay? So I'll cover that again. Yeah? This is a full practice. Breath. Breath out. Pelvic floor in and up. Tummy in. Open the ribs. Yeah? Lengthen the back of the neck. I can't do it in talk. Lengthen the back of the neck. Curl down. Suck up a notch. Hold the breath as long as possible. Do that again with you. You can cultivate that bandha feeling by gently pulsing the pelvic floor and up through along the spine. Get that feeling of deepening into it. Cultivate the bandha. It's not a static thing. It's not a done job. It's never finished. You're cultivating that deeper capacity for centering. And this is a profound practice of being in your center. Yeah? And if you know what your center is, you can live that in the world in every moment of your life. Release, relax and smile. Conscious breath through the nostrils, spread the nostrils. Full inhale, exhale, release. So that's the practice of deep central line awareness. And that's an important practice to get into your life so that you can go deeper with conscious breath work. It's a necessary and crucial ingredient for deeper breath holding. So get your practice in. If you want to go deeper with it, if you're struggling, come on retreat with me. Come and practice with me. Come and work with me, and we can go deeper still. Awesome.